A grand number of analogues have been devised to depict the flow of time for the mortal man. Some systems emphasize the cyclical nature of things, viewing life like flower growing and withering, springing forth from nothingness, blossoming for a while, and then returning back into nothingness. This model, while seemingly accurate, holds a certain amount of third-person distance in its essence, detaching the observer from the observed, and so lacking necessary perspectival accuracy. Other oft-proposed analogue is that of the river and the waterfall. In this model, the being is deeply immersed in a grand flow of time, haplessly thrown about in the currents as the water takes him or her nearer and nearer to the eventual waterfall. This view is indeed closer to reality, as all beings are mostly in the mercy of something larger than them. Oftentimes, the proponents of this model point out how one can swim against the current, struggling against the stream, delaying the inevitable doom by their own effort. Again, while seemingly accurate and poignant point of view, this too puts much faith on the tiny creature's capabilities against grand forces of fate. Third and least talked about model is that of the glass slide. It is in fact so rarely talked about that no one knows of it. There are several good reasons for this. First, it is the most accurate, most objectively correct and true. One would think this to its benefit, but they would be wrong, for equal to its truth is its profound bleakness. Second, is its harsh but veracious view concerning man's place in the universe. While it is no secret that mortals are, by very definition, mortal, this fact is still often forgotten about with the more romantic, such as the aforementioned flower model, points of view. The glass slide model does not try to obfuscate itself behind any veneers of romantic subjectivism, or try to feign any malign compassion towards the listener. Indeed, due to its close proximity to cold objectivity, as such, it is something that does not sit well for most audiences, and so, for these reasons, it lacks audience altogether, as stated before. According to this model, one starts his or her life at the very top of an enormous glass slide which hovers in nothingness, surrounded by thick fog. The person, starting as a small child in the beginning of time, is initially oblivious to the true nature of the glass slide, and is excited for the prospect of sliding down. The child will start nudging himself forward, or more precisely, he is being subtly nudged forward until some momentum is gained. The angle of the slide is, at this point, still pleasantly shallow, and the surface of the slide perfectly smooth. As time and distance pass, the slide gains in angle, and so does the child gain in speed. This happens insidiously gradually, however, veiling any doubt and want for worry. The world around is still firmly in state of fog, and as the child nears teenage years, then early adulthood, the slide approaches its peak in entertainment. The angle is now at perfect balance of not being overly intimidating, while providing exhilarating excitement and amusement for the late adolescent to enjoy the ride to its full potential. The rising wind as well, while now making its presence apparent, is still but a pleasant breeze, and not something one must struggle to breathe against. At some point after this, a strange shift happens. Suddenly the angle grows uncomfortably large, and the wind turns fierce. The fog starts to disperse, and there begins to be uneven bumps in the before perfectly smooth glass. At this moment, depending on the person, some inner alarm may start sounding. For others, it will still take a while. What's almost universal is that the person will attempt several mental techniques to block any disquieting thought. They may close their eyes, or turn on their face against the glass, avoiding to see the slowly revealing vista around them. They may begin to wish to be somewhere else entirely, anywhere except on this slide. In essence, the lure of escapism is nigh unavoidable, and it may work for a time, but it never works for long. Next, as more time and distance pass, the angle gets even steeper and the wind stronger. The bumps in glass become so frequent and painful that they cannot be ignored. The fog disappears entirely, revealing the horrifying vistas of emptiness. Now one can see for the first time clearly around them, into unfathomable distances, how there is nothing around them except for the narrow glass slide which they ride on. Unimaginably distant horizon shimmers faintly somewhere amongst the dull grey clouds, but besides this vague outline, one is completely and utterly alone. In this moment, panic sets in. Many try the earlier trick of going back into escapism by closing their eyes or imagining they weren't there. But the reality of the situation is too grave to be ignored. For now, the first time ever, one can truly see where the glass slide leads,